Let's get this going. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're working. So, John, we're in a room. There's chairs arranged around, but there's lots of art on the walls.
Yeah, but I'm a hairdresser.
But you're a hairdresser.
And we're starting to talk about the art. Okay.
Tell us about the art that's on the walls.
It's quite eclectic. It's a mix of the people that have been in here over the last 10 years. We've got a young guy called Donshi, who's absolutely wonderful screen printer. Then we have a genius artist called Warren King, who's absolutely, his portraits of people you wouldn't understand unless you see them. It's an impossibility to mention them. And then we have a lot of photography by a lovely man called Tim Brett Day, David Bowie, Kate Moss, Helena Christensen, and then we have some beautiful landscapes from David Bray.
And the landscapes are interestingly kind of, they're facing Bowie and Kate Moss, and they're quite dark and moody, and so, and behind us is a couple of portraits of pen portraits of people.
Yeah, this is a absolutely wonderful guy called Colin McMaster. He does a lot of 3D. These are his as well here, these 3D.
Oh, yeah.
And the beautiful head that's in the window,
yeah,
that's Colin. They're all so individual, and yet, this is because we had a sale in here. They're all, it works like in a really strange way.
So you like art, you're a hairdresser, but you like visual art.
Yeah, very much.
And are these people actually connected to you? It's not just strangers. You're not a commercial gallery. These are people.
We're all we're all connected. We're all connected, all of us together. It's
how are you connected to people in these different worlds? The worlds of like music, art, fashion.
First of all, we had an unbelievable. I had a client, Raina, who now lives in Greece, Syrian, beautiful girl, absolutely. She came here for a haircut when I first opened 10 years ago, and she was like, oh, it's such a beautiful space, the energy, it's so great in here. And she was like, but we need a little artist. And so she found Donshi in Brick Lane, and Donshi come in here, and he's fucking from Liverpool. And it was like, and it was like, oh, do you know this Chinese? And he was like, yeah, my mum owned it and everything. And it was like, gee, I used to go in there when I was like, after the nights out in Liverpool,
Brilliant.
After we'd been to the Hollywood and that, we'd go into his mum's.
So you connected.
Jade Garden, it was called. And then he tells me all about, like, there's a gambling club underneath it and all these shits. That it was like, it was just fantastic. And Donshi was the beginning, and Donshi does a lot of silk. He's an architect, and you can see it in his work. He does like unbelievable screen prints of Hackney Wick and the Rio Cinema and like Liverpool Chinatown, and he was the beginning of all this. And then Tim Brett Day had an exhibition in here, he's absolutely a genius photographer.
So he's a fashion photographer?
Yeah, he did all Agent Provocateur and Vogue and
high-end stuff.
Yeah, massive big campaigns. And then he introduced me to Warren, and then it just became like a nice sort of flow. And
that's really nice. That sounds lovely. The way it's actually developed is just a natural, organic process.
Yeah.
You meet someone, they tell you about somebody else. You haven't in any way artificially created any of this. It's just happened.
Yeah, and it's the same with the salon. It's the same with studio. It's a hairdresser's, but it's been organically built, if there's such a word, and I fucking hate all that shit. It's all you know,
created a space and curated it and all of that.
Yeah, and it's still difficult to get in here for a haircut.
So are you much in demand?
Yeah.
You're
and I'm not just saying that, you know, because it's quite a strange hairdressers. You know, it's not like a hairdresser's.
Well, for a start, you're the only person in here.
Most of the time.
There's art on the walls.
Yeah.
There's no line of sinks. There's none of the usual accoutrements.
No mirrors, really. You don't have your hair cut in a mirror.
Why is that?
Well, I did session hairdressing for 30 years. You know, I worked for Vogue and Elle and a lot of the magazines. I did Celine Dion's hair. I did Beyonce's.
Oh my God.
I've done the Spice Girls.
Blimey.
I'm in the Spice Girls video.
way.
I tell you what I want, what I really, really want, what I really, really want.
No
I'm
way.
the doorman. Yeah.
No
So I
way.
started all, you know, I did Celine Dion's first cover.
What a life.
Yeah. I had a, Brad Pitt was a mate of mine for a long time. Jack Nicholson. I had a funny, like, considering I'm off a housing estate in Liverpool, I've had I've got Vogue covers, Elle covers.
Wow.
Top, like,
Wow.
fashion, work with
Okay,
Cindy Crawford.
this is completely unexpected. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought it was coming to talk to a hairdresser about, how...
Really?
Cutting hair. Yeah, so... Okay, there's lots to talk about there. Let's start with the housing estate in Liverpool. You mentioned the connection with the artist, and you knew the restaurant that his parents ran. What kind of childhood did you have in Liverpool?
Fantastic, really, really great. Great family, a lot of aunties and uncles, and a lot of shouting to get your dinner, and stuff like that. And then you grow up thinking you want to be a footballer, because the only way you're going to do anything. And then you meet everyone from, like, bands. Like, we started to go to Eric's and we got into Probe, and, we see all these bands like Talking Heads and the Cramps, and...
Oh, brilliant.
You were, like, amazed by them. And then you would meet Ian McCulloch from Echo and the Bunnymen. And then you'd be in the Armadillo Tea Rooms, and Pete Burns from Dead or Alive would be in there, and... My growing up was surrounded by a lot of musicians, and you would know a lot of people that in Liverpool because you were in that. And I was working in a hairdresser's then, so a lot of people were. I started to surround myself by creatives, like, in this way of.
And when you were that age, having not been outside of where you were, you must have thought this is how everything is. This is how life is. You're in a city that attracts creative talent, that generates creative talent. You go into places where people are. It must have been, looking back on it, you must have thought, blimey, I was lucky.
Yeah, in a very strange way, I've been very lucky, because I walked into this hairdresser's called Unisex in Williamson Square, and I just wanted a Saturday job.
Just for a bit of pocket money,
and
make sure you could go out.
Yeah, I thought, and
do you remember that conversation? Do you remember that conversation
to
you
this
had?
Day, with Stuart McKimmie.
And you went in and said, what did you say?
I said, "Is there any chance of me washing hair?" And he was like, "Yeah." And so I just started washing hair, and then in 6 weeks, which he said he'd never known I was cutting hair. And I had no idea. I don't know why I went in there. I don't know why I ended up. It just happened. I mean, maybe that was organic.
Yeah.
Maybe that was organic before we knew what organic was. The organic world was attracting me. I was caught up in the organic almond milk campaign, soya milk campaign at a very early age, organic. And then they sent me to college one day a week, and then I advanced really, really fast. And
so you found that your hands had the skill for it.
Yeah.
And your eyes had
quickly
the look for it, and it was kind of like you could see and you could feel it. What is it that you need to be a creative, successful hairdresser?
I've got no idea. I've got no idea. You know what happened? It's to this day now. I'm in my 60s now. I'm not about to do that. And my hands, I don't know what my hands are doing. To this day, I've got no idea. I start a haircut. I don't make sections. I don't make anything like what normal hairdressers do. It's very free.
So it's very intuitive.
Yeah, and it's like I cut like very abstract.
That's interesting, because I've always thought, as just a regular punter, and I mean I go to barbers blokes, short back and
looks
size haircuts.
Looks like.
Easy.
I'll do that normal hair. Where did you go last time? Oh, it looks so bad. Oh, look at that. Who cut that? And then you say, you did. I was like, oh no, did I? I cut your hair last time.
But the responsibility of proper hairdressing, not your short back and size. It's a massive responsibility, and it's a pressure because people have very strong opinions about how they want to look, and if you're going in an intuitive sense, people have got to trust you. Yeah,
and all that type of trust began. I went to Hamburg and I worked with. I went to Hamburg when I was very young, 20, and I worked with a guy from Vidal Sassoon there.
Wow.
Roy Sutton, and we had this little shop called Sutton Place, and I was in there, and there was a guy, Kevin Murphy, not the Kevin Murphy does the products now, but we were all this like fucking mad hairdressers in a room.
Was it like it sounds a bit like a kind of rock band kind of situation where you were the cool kids and things were happening around you?
Yeah, and this was in Hamburg, so it was all a little bit.
Why Hamburg?
I just went. There was a job offer.
It wasn't anything to do with the Beatles?
No.
That's where they went, isn't it?
Didn't even know the Beatles had been there.
No, really.
I thought it was just me. The first Scouser in Hamburg. But they had the Reaper barn and everything. It was like fantastic. And then I lived there for 4 years, and that's where the beginning of me like understanding what session hairdressing was about.
What is session hairdressing?
You mentioned hairdressing is like where the magazine book you and you go to do a model's hair for a magazine on a shoot.
Right, so you don't know what you're going into. Do you get a brief, or do they say?
When you're there on the day, you get a brief, or if it's as I got higher, you would have a brief of who you were working with and the photographer and what they were thinking and things like this. But that all came later because I met the lead singer of the Stranglers, Hugh Cornwell, when I was living in Hamburg.
Which is by chance?
In a nightclub I met him, like 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's the time to meet him.
And he said, do you want to cut my hair? And because we'd been talking, I said, yeah. So he came back to ours, I cut his hair 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, what, there and then?
Yeah.
After a few pints?
Yeah. We were pissed, drunk. And
great.
And then he said to me, do you want to, I said, I'm thinking of coming back to London to live. And he said, oh, you can live with me. And I moved into Hugh Cornwell's flat in Leinster Square.
Blimey. Yeah. So hold on. So you're cutting.
I'm brought up with Ian McCulloch and Frankie Goes to Hollywood and everyone in Liverpool. All this period of Paul Rutherford and Holly and orchestral manoeuvres in the dark and everyone, Icicle Works and all these great bands in Liverpool. And then I meet Hugh Cornwell and then
you get into the London scene.
Yeah, and then that was another thing. Café de Paris and the Blitz and the Wag and Rusty Egan and everyone and
so the momentum didn't change.
No,
Liverpool,
got more.
Hamburg, London.
Yeah, it sort of was.
And by this time you're going
rolling.
up in your hairdressing.
Yeah,
you're getting more for each. I mean, you're charging more.
Yeah.
So the momentum's on your side. You must have felt on top of the world.
Well, no, I came back and tried to get a job in Trevor Sorbie and they said no. And I was like, okay. And
so
I met this guy.
Is Trevor Sorbie like a famous hairdresser?
Big hairdressers. Right. And then I met this guy, Eugene Sullivan, who's the #1 hairdresser in the world now.
Oh, really?
And he was a kid. And I didn't get the job in there. And Eugene and David Adams, who ran Avida.
Right,
we were all mates.
I know them, Avida from the hair products.
Yeah. And we were all mates. And they weren't doing that then. Eugene was an assistant and David was an assistant and David had worked with me in Hamburg. And so Eugene said to me, you've got to meet this woman. She's insane. She's just like you. And I was like, okay, who is she? And it was Lynn Franks. Who absolutely fabulous.
Who's based Franks?
She's a PR.
Oh, Ab Fab
is based on Lynn Franks, who was my agent.
Gosh, she must have had a little black book of contacts to die for.
And she was like, you will be the #1 hairdresser in the world. And she repped me. And then I was in America and she flew me. I just started and I became really well known. And then there was very small number of us doing magazine work. And then we were doing Calvin Klein, and then we were doing Versace, and then we were doing everything all over the world.
Your story, the more you tell about your life, the more extraordinary it gets. The more extraordinary it gets.
Because I go home to my mum, and my mum's like, "Oh, have you still got a job?" And I'm like, "Oh well, yeah, sort of. I think it's a job." And my mum and dad never understood what I did. My dad and mum never understood. And I went home with a model once, and my dad was like, opened the door, and he was like, "Oh my God, are you sleeping with my son?" And she went, "Yeah." And he went, "Good work, lad." And we had the cover of Vogue or something, and my dad was that night was in the pub, and he had the cover of the magazine. He was going, "My lad's with it. My lad's with it."
Oh,
and I was like, in the pub, my dad with a Vogue magazine. I was like, "Oh."
What did he do? What was his job?
My dad worked in Fords, but he never seen a car. He never seen a car being built.
Oh.
He worked in Fords for 40 years, and he worked on a forklift truck, and he never seen a car being built. He used to just take the stuff in, and on Friday nights they would have strippers out in the, because there was only a certain amount of people who could get there who knew the way around. They had strippers.
What,
in the
inside the factory?
Yeah, on a Friday night, and they all had a beer and everything. And then my mum worked in Littlewoods, which was Littlewoods Pools, and then that finished, and she ended up working cleaning floors in the local government. And one day she was waiting to go in, and her boss from Littlewoods came out, and he was like, "What are you doing, Charlie?" She said, "I'm going in to clean." He said, "No, you're fucking not. You're coming here on Monday and you're going to work for me." And Monday, my mum was earning more money than my dad. My mum was working for the local government.
Just by a chance meeting?
Yeah, by chance. And she ended up running the whole local government and everything with this guy who was like, she said, "I've got no exams." Because everyone needs the GCSEs there and everything to get into local government. And he was "I don't care, you are the most organised person in the world." She went in there and redid everything, the filing cabinets, everything.
Yeah.
So
he recognised her skills, and he knew her as a person, and he's like, "I can rely on you to get the job done, get a good job done."
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of human contact, isn't it? It's a bit like your life. It's people meeting people.
Yeah.
It's all about what some people would call networking, but other people would call life. Bullshitting. How much chance has been in your life, or
chance,
or do you sometimes think about life and you're like, actually things happen for a reason, and I've kind of made my luck?
I think you have to be in the right place. I think it's a lot. I think luck's a very substantial word. It's luck. What is like luck? You've made your own luck by actually being in that place. I never thought I'd meet Eugene. I never thought Eugene would introduce me to this woman at Lim Franks. And then Lim Franks, she had the girl that was my agent there. Sounds undercover, doesn't it? My name's Sean Connery. I have an agent called Beverly. But she went on to own a great big, massive, worldwide agency called Streeters. Which was my biggest mistake in my life.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, Lim Franks sold her company, and I went to a different agent, and that was the biggest mistake. I should have when Beverly left. I should have just went with Beverly. Okay,
so tell me about the role of an agent, because I'm unfamiliar with how the dynamics work.
Yeah. So an agent will take your bookings and get you, like, if a magazine phones up, they'll say, "Oh, can I have John on the 29th
Yeah.
And they'll look in your diary and give you the 29th, and then they'll deal with the money. And then it's the same as if you go to work for Calvin Klein or whoever, they will say, okay, his rates are this for the day. And
so you're not having to sell yourself?
No. You know, your work should do that for you, you know.
And then you talk about this decision being a mistake in hindsight.
Yeah.
What happened?
I just went for agents that weren't prepared to work. They were just prepared to take what I brought.
Right, so suddenly you're generating, you're doing all the heavy lifting.
Well, I'm not really. They just accepted what I was doing. I'm just allowed that to roll. Yeah. Instead of going more diverse and going bigger, they kept me, even though I was quite big, they kept me on quite the same track instead of bringing in different clients.
At the time, how long did it take you to work out that that things had changed and you felt that you were on the wrong track? Did you carry on for a while before you started thinking about this, or did you realise immediately?
When the money's not the same.
Okay, there's less in the bank balance.
And then you see, and then it ends up, you know, that it's just being misplaced, shall we say? So I don't have any phoning me up saying that's liable. That's
things didn't quite add up.
Yeah, in quite a few places, and then I end up living in LA, and then I moved to New York then, and I spent like most of my life in New York, and then I got married and lost a bit of cash on that deal, and Swedes, I won't delve into that one too much.
Why did you stay in America? LA, New York.
It was just a great place to live, you know, and I had my best mate there, Evan Scheuer. God love him. He was like the greatest, one of the greatest men I've met. He was so fantastic. I mean, there's big stories I can tell about Evan, but they're for...
Now, what is he? What kind of person is he? What does he do? What did he do?
I met Evan. I got told I could stay in this apartment one night. I'd been flown over to work in New York, my first big job there, and everyone had like frightened me to death.
Oh, blind! So you were a bit on edge. Like,
yeah,
new
already.
City, new scene.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh God, don't go out, don't go out." I was
really?
Like, fuck, that can't be that bad. I'm from
you're talking about the city. You're talking about the city streets.
Yeah,
like people were like, "It's a dangerous city."
Yeah, and I was like, okay, and then
so out you went.
Well, I didn't actually. I went down to the deli to get a drink and some food and that, and I thought, okay, I'll go down there. So I went down. It was like nothing shit, you know what I mean? It was like, so anyway, I went back up and I was like, it's really weird. I was in this apartment. I didn't know how to turn anything on or anything, you know. It was for one night. And 2 o'clock in the morning, someone came in going, "What the fuck? Who the fuck's in here?" And I was like, shit, I'm going to be murdered in fucking New York. I knew something was going to happen. They were all right. Everybody was right. I was fucking nightmare.
So you've woken up to a stranger shouting at you, angry.
Yeah. And he said, "I've seen the light on. Who's in here?" I was like, Vicky told me I could stay here. And he went, oh, who's that? And I said, it's I'm working with Eamon McCabe tomorrow. And they said I could stay here. And he went, you can't fucking stay here. And I was like, okay, why? I come out by then, you know. I said, why? And he was like, there's nothing on, there's nothing in the fridge, you can't stay. He said, you're coming back with me. So I had 3 bags with me, and he was like, wait a second. He went on the intercom downstairs, and the guy must have been standing by the intercom, and his driver came up. And
this is highfalutin.
And took my bags, and he was like, "Listen, I'm Evan." I was like, "Nice to meet you," and all that. And he said,
"And you didn't know who he was?"
No, he said, right. I'm Vicky's boyfriend. So I was like, "Okay, nice to meet you." And he said, come with me." So this was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Right. So he takes me for a hamburger and a beer, and nice. So we're having a hamburger and a beer.
2 in the morning in New York.
And he's introducing me to all this like stuff in New York, and then he lived on 91st in Columbus in a brownstone with a lift to the top floor.
So this is like a traditional New York setup, like you would imagine in the films.
Yeah.
A brownstone is like the tenement buildings.
No, it's like a terrace,
Right.
but like it's very rich.
Right.
91st in Columbus, right opposite.
So this is a fancy address.
Yeah, very fancy. And he took me in there. It must have been 5 o'clock in the morning now. We'd had such a laugh. Went to a bar, had a drink, and went in.
So you had an instant connection.
Yeah.
You got on
Like really, really well. And then he was like, "Look, there's the telly. This is how the telly works. There's the fridge." He's like, the fucking fridge was like walking. You could have like 6 people in there. And he said, "Listen, I'm going to Aspen tomorrow. All you got to do is walk the dog." And I forget the guy's name, but he said he'll drive you around for all your appointments this week and pick you up and take you where you want to go. And I was like, "Oh, okay, never, the greatest 2 weeks of my life."
Wow.
Of driving around like that. And then it was just like, he knew so many people, and there was a lot of illicit stuff going on, and then it ended up that his dad was high up in one of the agencies, so to speak.
So you landed on your feet.
Yeah.
By chance.
Yeah.
With someone shouting you at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
These things happen in your life, John.
I know, it's very weird. And I went then. The first thing was though, because I was living in Paris for a while, and I met a photographer called Philip Dixon, and he was the one who first. I went to LA, and that's where I met Celine Dion and Britney Spears and things like this, and I ended up doing their hair.
Were you doing their hair as they were coming up to to their known careers, just before they went stratospheric?
Yeah. And,
that's an exciting time to meet someone who then goes forwards.
Yeah. Well, I did Celine Dion's hair. I cut all her hair off for the first cover.
Oh, bold move.
Yeah. And
was that her idea? Or did your hands just take you there?
Yeah, it was all
it wasn't just like,
Angel, her husband, was fantastic. And he loved all my poetry and everything and that, so that was...
Were you speaking in rhyme as you were cutting your hair?
Nearly, but we used to have a lot of time together while we were waiting on shoots and that, so I used to read him a bit of my stuff and that, and he was very,
How long have you been making poetry, or creating poetry, or writing it?
From the night I walked home with a young lady who told me it wasn't on the cards to go home and write something down.
So she said it's not on the cards tonight.
Yeah.
And you're
go home and write something.
Oh, she said go home and write something.
Yeah, and so I did. And from that, I've ended up with I've got a whole CD made with with music to it.
So really the words come first and then the music fits afterwards.
Well,
or in between.
23 years ago, I was cutting a girl's hair, Jill Morley, who plays in De La Soul.
Okay.
Soul to Soul. De La Soul. She's the violinist.
Soul.
Soul to Soul.
The British group.
Soul. Yeah. And
the famous one from way back in their biggest hit when we were younger. Yeah.
And she was going out with a guy called Mark Wallace, and we were all a bit drunk. It was the first time I come back to live here. It was 23 years ago, and she said, "Oh, Mark, John should recite his poetry for you," and I was like, "No." This is Mark Wallace, man, who's done the Smiths and everyone
What, he's a lyricist?
He's a producer.
Oh, okay.
He produced How Soon Is Now, the Smith, that great song. Mm-hmm. He's done everybody, and he was like, "Nah, come on." And so 23 years ago, he recorded 7 of my poems, and he's always come back here to get his hair cut when he lives in Ibiza, and he's always come back here, and he kept saying to me, "Oh, we've got to do something with that poetry." And I was like, okay. And then 6 months ago, he said, "I've done something with your poetry."
Oh, without you asking?
Yeah.
He was just
no, he's always said, I'll do something.
Right.
And he's done something. And it's outrageous.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It's what
a gift.
I couldn't believe it. And it's so beautiful. I'll play it a bit afterwards.
Yeah, no, do. Maybe we could stick a bit on after the conversation.
Yeah.
The world in which I'm trying to think of the world in which you've moved, the characters you've met. people when they reach the limelight and when things are happening around them, is it a certain type of energy that people have that gets them to that place? Because you've moved in circles that most of us never touch and we're unfamiliar with. What is it about that kind of grouping of people that makes them who they are? Is there something to be said about people get to that level through certain characteristics or being open to certain ideas? I don't know. It's just like, I will never meet famous people like that, but you have. What have you observed?
Satanic worship.
There's no rhyme or reason, basically.
Satanic worship.
Satanic worship.
Yeah. It's all gone quiet now.
You're holding me high. I'm not sure where to go with this.
There's only one place to go. It's in front of everyone's faces now. It's in front. It's everywhere. Mainstream. Look at all the big pop stars. Look at their acts. It's a little bit borderline, all this shit. I mean, I seen it a long time ago with all that P. Diddy shit and how, Justin Timberlake and how Britney, how they were all treated, all these people. And you see it, and this is my personal.
So you're saying there's a dark side to the famous life?
Totally. I think people are, I think a lot of it now that they can do it, they do it in front of people. I think now, especially people laughed at me years ago. When you could say, "Oh, I think so and so is gay." I knew he was gay. And I'm not going to start mentioning names, but everyone knows. Everyone who says, "Oh, I think he's like
X or
there's,
Y."
There's a 95% chance that he is, and it doesn't mean that he's gay. It could mean that he's into everything, And then you look at all that P. Diddy shit, and then you can realise how true it really actually is.
Does that mean sitting here in your shop in Columbia Road in East London, does that mean that you're quite glad not to be part of it anymore?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I just think that there's certain things that you can do. I wouldn't mind even doing a bit of red carpet stuff, and things like this now. Bit of celebrity and that, because the money is, it's nowhere near what it used to be like. It used to be getting paid stupid amounts of money because there wasn't many of us. And then it all changed. You makeup artists became hairdressers, so they were doing makeup and hair. They were sitting there watching you do a bit of hair, and they were learning big things off you. Whereas I would never think of putting makeup on anyone. It's too many cooks spoil the broth.
And the money that you were earning back in the day, when you were earning the big bucks, did it change you? Did you go a bit mad with it?
No,
or were you always the boy from Liverpool?
No, we were just out on the piss.
Yeah.
Women and alcohol. And that's why I ended up with a new liver.
You got a new liver?
Yeah, I got a new liver.
Is it working well?
It's working absolutely genius. Thank you everyone at Belsize Liver Transplant Unit. Shout out to them. They are the best in the world. Kept me alive. I was dead for 2 weeks. I was in a coma.
Blimey.
Yeah. So that was a little bit of an experience as well.
Did that change your view of life? Was that a
changed my total view of life? Yeah, it changed the outlook. I don't think there's enough time in people's lives. Once you've been nearly dead, you realise there ain't much time for everything what we do. And all that about being nasty and horrible to people, and there's not enough time for that either. You should just tell people straight to the face. And if you're nasty and you're horrible to them, then be nasty and horrible to them. Tell them, but tell them straight away, so it doesn't fester and it doesn't drag you down. And that hatred or that animosity and everything that you feel, it's all negative, man. Keep something in front of you. Let it out. Tell it as it is, and then you'll feel a lot lighter for everything part of it. But I have a terrible thing with money. I can't ask people for money. That's my downfall.
Oh, that's interesting.
Can't. I'm terrible. I am absolutely...
Always have been.
My biggest downfall.
So you're just like, pay me what you think it's worth.
It's been like that in here for a long time, you know. And now, the end of this month, we have to really start putting a cap on it now, and because I've got like a few years left, I think, of me having the energy that I have, you know, to put into practice what I'm preaching, you know, because I'm quite a unique hairdresser, I think. I think I'm quite unique, and I think the way we treat people in here are very, you know, everyone gets a phone call after their haircut. Everyone gets told that they can come back within 10 days. And I hope everyone who comes here can feel this, that it's like a little bit of an extraordinary place to come for a haircut. You know, there's just me and whoever's in here. And then we have two of the best colour artists who work here. Carleen and Emily are like just absolutely fantastic. And I've tried having other people in here, and it's just, you know, it's a very strange energy, I think, in here, but quite beautiful in a way.
You say in the time you got left as a hairdresser doing what you're doing, you're trying to create a certain kind of environment. You try to somehow bring everything you've learned in life into what you do on a daily basis. You say there's also post-delivery transplant. There's a kind of a... Do you almost feel like you want to impart some knowledge to other people? You want to just project a bit more about what you've learned rather than keep it to yourself?
I would love that, but I've got like this like sort of, I don't know what you call it, where like no one wants to touch me. You know, I see all these hairdressers, oh, so-and-so sent me this free, so-and-so sent me this, oh, thank you, and nobody comes here. It's like, I don't know what I've done, but it's like a very strange...
What, you feel like you're out of the loop of the circles you used to be in?
Yeah. But I kind of quite like that.
That must be quite freeing in some way.
It is, I kind of quite like that. But, you know, I've got one mate of mine who works for Davines, Steve Roberts, unbelievable DJ as well. And that guy is like so lovely, and he works for a big product company, and he's just like tops. But I've got to say, you know, a lot of the people who I know are really quite lovely. But I think when you get to a point, I mean, I had a liver transplant. I've had 2 hip replacements. Last year I had 3 months. I had 20 days in ICU with pneumonia.
Gosh.
I was nearly dead.
Gosh.
Again. And these things sort of let you free in a very strange way, because it's like, I would, you know, people say, oh, I would do anything for my kids. And let me tell you, man, I would fucking kill for my kids. Because to be in a position like that, you begin to understand all this, like the outages in life of where you haven't gone, where you want to go, what you want to do, and you trying to put this into practice through the strange things that have happened to you over the years. You know, I remember once being stuck on a platform in Germany, and I had no money, no nothing, and this guy came up to me and he said, I can help. And he paid for my ticket to get back to Hamburg.
Just a stranger?
Yeah. And then I remember being in an airport in Amsterdam, and 2 young kids travelling had no money. And so I went up to them and I said, I can buy you that ticket. I can get goosebumps. And I bought them the ticket. And there's a continuation. There's a lot of things in my life that have happened like that, by me just being somewhere and doing something. And I think it does move forward, and it does, you know, karma is a fact.
I've been alive for 33 years, but I only remember 1 hour. It was in a beautiful town called Paris. that I fell in love. And I've read a few books, but I only remember one sentence. And now I ask myself, isn't it crazy to die from these terrors of love? And I've admired many things, but before my eyes there's only you. And now the orchestra has left, and the last dance has been danced. And from my broken watch, all my time is spent. And as I sit in this empty restaurant, the waiter serves me.
Excusez-moi, monsieur, c'est combien la séance? Je voudrais fumer une cigarette. C'est possible? Je voudrais voir.
Isn't it crazy to die from these terrors of love? And I've admired many things, but before my eyes there's only you. I've been alive for 33 years, but I only remember 1 hour. It was in a beautiful town called Paris that I fell in love. And now the orchestra has left, and the last dance has been danced. And from my broken watch, all my time is spent. And as I sit in this empty restaurant, the waiter serves me.